How's it going? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? Oh my God, my hair. I freaking didn't do a hair check before. Man, where I live is so loud. I didn't want to blast through all the reggaeton music, so I'm outside actually.
Bro,
So,
you look like you could be related to Logan Paul. Don't you look a little bit like Logan
who?
Paul? Logan Paul.
Man, I used to get Matthew McConaughey. I'm moving down in the world if I get Logan.
No, you're moving up. Paul's loaded. That guy's got like $500 million or something like that.
Come on now, Logan Paul. I don't want to be part of the Paul brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm moving up. I don't care how much money he has. He has to have that money while living life as him. That's a curse.
¿Qué onda, mi valedor?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your screen froze.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your screen froze, Jack. But we can. Okay, you're good. Yeah, we can hear you.
Uh-oh. I think I might have to go inside. Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'll go in the cafeteria.
Where are you in? Are you in Mexico?
What's going on?
Can't you tell? Yeah.
Right now, I'm living in East Apalapa. Yeah, Jack has returned to the barrio.
¿Qué onda, mi valedor?
Nada. Solo mucho entrenamiento con bandido y skate. Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking great,
Or actually,
bro.
Konnan will be surprised at this. Me and Sandy are completely separated.
Really?
So,
No, I'm not surprised.
yeah. So that's why I'm now back to living in the barrio. Well, she gets the apartment.
Are you guys still cool, though?
Yeah, we're still good.
Yeah. All right, Jack, let's take it from the top here. Let's go over a couple things in your career for people that want to know more about you. When I was doing an extensive background check on you, which means I looked on Wikipedia 5 minutes before we got on the thing.
Okay.
I was reminded of that you used to work for Matt Rats with Eric Bischoff and Teddy. What was that about? And as crazy as Teddy is, he had a lot of great ideas, because I remember Matt Rats, he had like little things on each corner so you guys could stand and do like flips off of that, right?
Yeah, the pizza pie plates. You know what? They actually had springs on them.
Right.
But the springs were too heavy. Like, we couldn't activate them. Like, you really had to pound on them hard. So we just called it pizza pie plates. They ended up being more like platforms. Right. But originally, you were supposed to be able to kind of, launch yourself off of them. And then also, it never actually got used. But there was a ring they had, him and this guy, Gramo, and on two sides of the ring, it had a fold-out trampoline. So, like, where the apron was, you could, like lift it up, you know what I mean? And then like set the legs, and two sides of the ring had a trampoline. But
what was the idea behind that? Like, really young people doing acrobatic stuff, or what was the deal behind that?
What the original thing was is because there's this Digital Artisans Guild, which was like a production company in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and they had a whole bunch of shows, but Maraths was their most successful, even was not successful. But the idea was that they wanted to market it kind of like, I guess at that time you'd consider more the Gen X crowd or like young millennials, I don't know. And so they just wanted like this high octane, like young people, like, doing a lot of high flying and everything. But what they really just wanted was like just fast and intense wrestling. So like, you didn't necessarily have to be a high flyer or anything. Like TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd was in there and everything. But they wanted it like short and sweet matches that were super action packed. And they were going to market it more towards like a teen and young 20-year-old audience.
Now, I want to correct you on something, my boy. I once heard you say in an interview that you said, I don't care what Konnan says, Legión Extranjera is a copy of NWO, which is incorrect. Let me edify you, my friend. NWO.
I still stand by those words, K-Dog.
Okay, I'm going to explain to you why you're wrong. NWO was an invasion from guys from another company, okay?
Yeah.
My concept was actually based on a shoot. When I got back to AAA, remember, I had been persona non grata for 7 years. Okay?
You were still in persona non grata when I was there, and you'd already been there for a while, yeah.
Right, but even more, I had just gotten back. And when I came back, I could not believe how brutal the talent was on top, like Granda, Intocable, Cibernetico, La Parca. And I just thought that those guys sucked, and that the best wrestling was no longer in Mexico, but in the U.S. And I was going to bring the best wrestlers to bury these jabrones. That's why it was called the Foreign Legion. That's why I brought in you, Teddy, X-Pac, Ron Killings, Rikishi, all those people. And if you remember, that angle did very good business. Just I drug it out too long. Yeah.
I'm not actually just blowing smoke up Konnan's ass because he's a friend, but it legitimately would beat out most soccer games except for like the Clásicos, like a Cruz Azul versus America, and it was up there with the top novellas. And like, yeah, that Legion Extranjero was actually in Mexico like the hottest angle I've ever seen. Like, it was bigger than even when Mystico was at his top. Like, it was huge.
And there was a lot of work too.
I agree. I just looked at it as kind of like people invading a company, you know what I mean, which is NWO to me. But no, okay, yeah. When you explain it in a little more detail, I'll actually.
Yeah, I don't think you really understood the genesis of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but no, and I can't. And I'm not trying to be mean, but those top guys at that time, they
were terrible. Well, that's why kind of you got heat and either got fired or you quit when you buried Park on that interview. Remember?
I'm sorry, you broke up. What?
But remember that you got heat because you buried Park on that interview, and I think they like let you go after that, or you quit, or.
I didn't mean to bury him like that, though. I was actually just making a joke because about how lazy he was on house shows. I was like,
Right.
he's the worst ever. He does the gun spot and da-da-da-da. But, like, I was being truthful, but it was actually supposed to be a diss. I was just kind of joking about, like, how he got away with, but he played the character so well that he could get away with it. It's something I could never do, so I don't want to diss him because he did manage to get so over. But he would do like these spots where like he'd make a fake door and you had to pretend to run into it. He'd rob you with a hand, like a
Right.
finger gun or whatever. And so I was making fun of that. I didn't actually mean to bury him, but it turned into a huge thing. Like.
And then if you remember right after that, I buried him.
Yeah, well, I'd actually say before and after that.
Which La Parka was this, by the way?
The second one.
This was the second La Parka, not LA Park, but Chewy, the one that just passed.
Now, Jack, I had a question for you because there's a running joke on the show.
Yeah?
There's a running joke on the show where when Disco was coming up with concepts for TNA, that he came up with a swinging vines match, which Disco, of course, denies. But you actually worked in a match in Philly called the Crazy Eight, where it was like they had the swinging ropes and the trampolines and stuff like that. Do you remember that? And what did you think of that concept?
I like the concept, except the one thing is, it's actually much harder to swing on a rope than I realized. Like, to actually do anything, you have to be really high up. You have to have this crazy grip strength. So I think I could do it better now that I realize how hard it actually is to do swinging spots on the rope. But the main thing I remember about that is it's one of the craziest spots I've ever done. Is we had the two ropes hanging and we tied the guy by the hands and the feet on the outside. So he's like, you're like tied up but elevated like a little bit off the ground. And I did a springboard 630 to him from the inside to the outside. And it literally one of the craziest spots I've ever done. And just lost the time. Like, I was like, man, if there's anything I want to be remembered for, it's that. That was the scariest thing in my life. I can't believe we pulled it off.
Yeah. So, bro, the craziest thing I ever saw you do, this is when I first found out about you, was when you were in Ring of Honor, you did that 720.
Oh, the double moonsault, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. Now, is that the show where Teddy did the backflips and they threw you guys out of the locker room, or was that a different show?
No, that was the exact show. And I'm always bitter about that because ROH actually, at one point, I don't know if it's around where they released like this unreleased footage, and you can see me in the ring trying to pull Ted out. Like, I immediately, even as young, and I knew, like, yeah, we're not supposed to be doing this. We lost the match. Why are you doing backflips off the cage for? You know what I mean? But the Carnage crew came out with a belt and whipped the living shite out of the both of us. And I'm always like, man, Ted, that's the worst heat you ever got me. Like, these belt shots were some of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. And I swear to God, I didn't deserve them.
But they also threw you out of the locker room, right?
Huh?
Didn't they actually throw you out of the locker room or something like that? Or threw your bags or something?
They threw, all of our bags out of the locker room and everything. And I got included in on it too. And I was seriously like,
you were such a loyal friend.
And everything, and then all of a sudden, like, I had become persona non grata, and I was like, wait, what? No, I did everything I was supposed to do. So like, that was a very stressful night. But again, they brought me back.
How long ago was that?
Man, that was 19 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was like
Long
two-
time.
That's the
2003.
spot. Isn't that what? Wasn't that the deal when Teddy did that, and Punk got hot at him, and Teddy showed up at TNA, and they went at it. They had a fight. Well, wasn't that like back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ted was in it was TNA at that time, and they used to have this place where they taped called the White Trash Cafe.
White
and
Trash
everyone
Cafe.
would go
Oh
there.
yeah.
And then they
I was
went
there.
down
I
there
was
and
there.
like they literally just like caught eyes and then started talking shit and then stepped outside and like Sabu ended up getting kicked in the balls, if you can believe it. But it all started from that ROH show. But I just think those two have personalities that would have never gotten along had Ted not done that, or you know what I mean, like.
And I didn't even know this, but I guess back then, because I wasn't really on the internet back then, I guess he was like shooting them on the internet, like when I see this bitch, it's on or something like that.
He might have been. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say yes, but it just sounds like it's something that would be true, but I couldn't confirm it.
Bro, you always would get heat from being around Teddy, because I remember twice I was going to put the tag titles on you, and twice I didn't because of Teddy. And you were always a loyal friend. You would never bury him. You always stood up for him, and you got so much heat.
I was so bitter about that because I told Ted we had to leave that one time.
Yeah.
And I think he was like sitting and drinking with a girl or something. And so we didn't take the AAA bus. We went by ourselves. But of course, this super late bus, we didn't get to the show on time, or we got like right before our match or something. I can't remember what the deal was. And yeah, like all of a sudden everything got changed and we ended up, I think it was Joe Leader and Crazy Boy, which just because it was Crazy Boy, it hurts even more. But yeah, like, no, that's true. I don't remember the second time, but I'm sure that there was one.
Yeah.
But
what do you remember about AAA, good and bad, or Mexico?
In AAA, I actually, especially, you know what I remember most about AAA?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to put you over again, Konnan. Is the first year there when we were. Okay, oh man, I hope my mom can watch this. But remember when we were just the strip club fiends?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I remember most, because you remember when Charlie Murphy talked about trickle down vagina, I guess?
Yeah.
Konnan introduced me to the concept because it was awesome going out with Konnan at that time, because you get all these strippers that loved him to death when they were young, and you're doing the Konnan El Barbaro gimmick. And then, but Konnan is that, he'll flirt and everything. He's an actually faithful guy. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. So, like, he'd flirt and everything, but then at the end of the night, he's not doing anything, and there'd just be me and Ted. So, like, those were good times.
Yeah. What was it that happened? Because you never really got into detail. I remember that I brought you to AAA, and the first night you were there, you were so freaked out over what you saw in the hotels or dressing room that you didn't want to come back?
No, that was Ted, not me.
Oh, was it Ted?
Yeah. Ted was the one that didn't want to come back because I don't know if you remember this. Charlie Manson and Electroshock, which a lot of people don't know are actually brothers.
Right.
But they got into some argument in the ring or whatever.
Yeah, I was there in Tampico.
And Charlie Manson slid a chair across from he's on the outside and Electroshock's on the other side, and he slid a chair across the whole ring, and it flew off the apron and just smashed Electroshock in his face. So when the match ended, Electro runs to the back to go get Charlie Manson, and he slips on the steps, hits the back of his head, and knocks himself out cold. And then at that, I guess that Ted was just like, man, this place is crazy. I don't think you want to come here, da-da-da-da. But then that was actually a show I wasn't on. And then I was on the very next show, and it was in Cancun or something, was my very first show in AAA. And I was like, screw that. I'm moving here right now. And I was down. And then, of course, when I actually moved, I found out that Mexico City is not like Cancun. But
No, nothing like it. Your boy lives there, Angelico, right?
Yeah, or Playa del Carmen.
That's when we started to give you a big push, when I put you with Angelico, and you guys were Los Güeros del Cielo, or whatever the fuck they called you.
Yeah.
Listen to this name, Disco, the white boys from the heavens. Remember at one point they wanted to call you the Angry Kids?
Well, no, actually, no. the Wonderful Kids.
The Wonderful Kids.
Man, I tell that story to people all the time if they get like a gimmick they don't like or something. And I'm like, man, at least you're not the Wonderful Kids. Like
Right.
me and Angelica were almost
That
the
was
Wonderful
bandied
Kids.
about. Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a
No,
question.
but remember you had an entire list of the AAA names, and Wonderful Kids was bad, but I swear to God, there were some ones that were even worse.
Yeah.
But the translation we were trying for was the Sky Blondes. But yeah, it just actually is taken as like
the girls
the
loved
white
you
guys from
too.
the white guys from heaven.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Disco?
Let me ask you a question. A few weeks ago, they had the Narcos wars going on there. Did that hit your town at all?
No, whenever you hear stuff about like that in Mexico, it's almost exclusively in the north, in the border towns, and then a little bit in like Michoacan and stuff. But actually, like Mexico City, like I mean, it has big city crime, but it's not like this narco feel like the cartel. I mean, they're obviously here, but they're not.
As
They're not very
visible as in
visible.
other places, because bro, the army's there, the FBI's there, everything's there. They are there, and they've taken over like neighborhoods, but they ain't taking over a whole city like they do, you know, like in Reynosa or, you know, now they're back in Zacatecas burning shit, you know, and so yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty separated from that stuff. And the other thing about that stuff is if you're not in that game, like you're not like messing around and being disrespectful or flaunting too much wealth with those guys, you actually generally get left alone. Like
right, because most of them are wrestling fans. But have you ever had, because everybody's had a problem or a run-in or something with a narco, have you?
Yeah, I got in a fist fight with one, and we had to sneak. And then he was so drunk he thought Angelico was me, so he started threatening Angelico. So they put us both in lucha masks and put us on the staff bus because they were worried about something happening to the wrestler bus. And I was like, I think you guys I don't think they're gonna do anything. Da, da, da. No, they showed up with a gang of people, stopped the wrestler bus, and went through the entire bus looking for us. So I was like, ooh, shoot, okay.
Wow. Were you there the day they showed up in San Luis Potosí and took the gate, went right through the dressing room?
No, and this is the thing. I remember when all his cars pulled up, and I just thought it was like something on. You know, I didn't think anything of it. I left, and then you were the one that informed me. Like, no, they robbed the entire gate.
Bro, do you remember when we were flat broke? And I do mean flat broke, and just on every single hallucinogen that there was known to man.
Yes, candy tripping. Yeah, that's another thing you introduced me to. Okay. Those were actually good times too. But
with X-Pac.
Those times. Yeah, oh, man, I loved living with X-Pac with you. Actually, in fact, when I think of Mexico, that was actually some of the best times.
Yeah. What do you remember from Lucha Underground?
I remember the first 2 seasons especially being great, and then the third started to go downhill, and then after that, like everything just kind of broke apart.
What a shame, right? Because that started so awesome.
Well, you know what it was? Is the Hollywood style contracts don't work with wrestling because they would tell us like, okay, we might be taping in between October and January, so don't accept any bookings at that time. But you only got paid for the season you were on. So after you taped the season, you know, you got all your money and then you were done. So everyone was like, wait, what? You want me to just keep 3 months open where I don't wrestle?
No, and they signed you for 7 seasons, and it could take 10 years for the 7 seasons to be recorded.
Yes, and so like that was crazy because they use all this weird wording in those contracts. So we were signed for like 7 cycles, and everyone just assumed a cycle was like a year or so, you know what I mean? Like that's what it was. But no, exactly. It was like indefinite. Like like there was a year and a half between one taping and the next, and that only counted as one cycle. Like
bro,
so,
those first 2 years were awesome, bro. Awesome.
Yeah, they really were.
Yeah,
I was always hoping that novella style, where it's like almost like a live action comic book, would catch on a little bit, but it never really did. But
now,
I love turning around style.
What do you think? Because I remember one time I was putting you over on the show and going, why aren't they using Angelico? Why aren't they using Jack Evans? And then one day Jericho actually called me and he goes, you know what? Just to shut your big mouth up, we're going to be doing something with Jack. And I guess backstage you were playing soccer or some shit and got hurt.
Yeah, I wasn't soccer. I don't remember what it was. Oh, no. I broke my face before the match in the ring in just this freak accident where
again
I was putting out some springboard something or another, and Phoenix and I had, it looked like I had completely like open part of the ring, you know what I mean? Because there's multiple people in there, but it looked like my space was clear. But Phoenix gave Flying Brian Jr. Freaking, what was it? Oh, a belly to belly, and he went really far. And when he flipped over, as I was coming down from my springboard, his heel hit the side of my face, and it cracked my cheekbone.
Holy shit. Now, what do you think happened in AEW? Because you were there like 3 years. You really weren't featured prominently. Do you think there was just too many people there? What do you think?
I think towards the end I was part of it, but oh man, I keep having talking about it. It honestly was my fault. Like,
Right.
I think we were doing pretty good, and we had our own little niche. It's kind of like it sounds bad, but I think it's the best spot to be in. But we were basically like upper mid card jobbers. You know what I mean? So like we
Right.
get our wins, but then once like Young Bucks or something came around, or like if they're trying to push a team up to have a feud with one of the bigger teams, like we were like the gatekeepers almost, and we were
Right.
having good matches on TV, and like I think there's a lot of room for growth. And then they closed the border because of COVID for 4 months. And I could have gone back to America, but I have to leave my whole family down here. So I was like, I can't do that. So I actually, I'm grateful for AEW that they didn't just release me right there. But during that 4 months, I just was like lazy. And then when I came back, I had one match, and then I broke my face. And like then that angle with Jericho got canceled, and then like the laziness continued. And then I know this is gonna sound crazy. Like I got pretty plump. Like I was all the way up to 217 pounds, and I had to wrestle with a shirt on and everything.
You look
And like,
great now, bro. The last time I saw you, look great.
I live in a gym.
Yeah.
If I'm not in shape, it's a little bit embarrassing. But yeah, so it honestly, it was just one of those things where like I got that layoff, and I had a salary, you know, and usually I'm almost always worked on a per show basis.
Right.
When I was on that salary, it was actually it was great, but it was actually kind of bad for me because just knowing that there's money coming, I just had no motivation, no fire,
Right.
no drive. And like, so I almost feel bad for Angelico because I feel like I slowed down because he never fell off like I did. So I almost feel like I slowed down his career in AEW or whatever by kind of
But
being.
he's still there, right?
Yeah. He got re-gimmicked though when he is the worst music. So, oh man.
Who is he with now? That private party thing?
No, I think he's by himself.
Oh.
But yeah, no, right now we're in a bit of that because I said his music was the worst thing that's ever happened in wrestling.
Now, after being so long in AAA and then going to AEW, which are two major companies, what has it been like coming back to the Indies? What differences between when you were in the Indies last and now have you seen in wrestling, Jack?
Lucha Libre is going to take over the world. I cannot believe the level of talent in Mexico now, which actually living in Bandito's gym is the perfect place for me in my career right now. Because, man, some of these guys, Delta Force, El Commander, freaking Black Generation, they're just doing this next level lucha shit. Like, I have to learn to base it. It's just not even like, for as long as I've been here, it's just not even stuff that's, I'm not on the level. So coming back to the Indies in Mexico has, well, and in America, there's actually a super amount from MCW, AIW, Cleveland. But I just can't believe it. Like the Indies right now in both America and Mexico, and over in England, progress. It's just flowing with talent. So the one thing I noticed is that, which is good, but in a way, like there's more competition than ever for my old ass. So it's really.
But here's the thing. There's more people than ever, right? A lot of them aren't even qualified, and they have to try to make a name like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You still have a name. For better for worse, you're still Jack Evans, and you already have that name. And as long as you stay in shape and you're professional, you're always going to have work. You know, you don't have to try to make a name because you already have one.
No, that's actually completely true on the Indies. But the thing is, I came back to the Indies as a heel, and it didn't work because I realized I've been around long enough that I've become kind of a legacy wrestler. So people just like kind of cheer, like, "Oh, it's Jack," you know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, that is definitely true. I do have a little bit of name, at least on the Indies and everything, but I don't want to kind of just be that guy that's like does a convention and a seminar every now and then, and like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to keep up with the youngins these days, especially you. I know you know him, you work with him all the time, but that El Commander has motivated me more than anything.
Yeah.
Well,
You probably don't even know this because you haven't I discovered him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came. sometimes still comes back and trains here at Banditos.
Yeah,
So it
he's
was
incredible.
really,
He might be the next Vikingo. You've seen Vikingo, right?
oh yeah, Vikingo is incredible.
Yeah.
But even Vikingo was around even when I was around. He was just starting, like he wasn't like he
Right.
is now. But like you just knew he was the man. Or going to be like one of the top guys. Like,
Yeah.
but meeting Commander was the funniest thing because I'm putting him over like, oh my god, you're the craziest. I'm such a big fan. And he's like, oh my god, Jack Evans, you've been such a big influence on me. It's this weird moment where we're like, you're the man. No, you're the man. No,
Right.
you're the man. But yeah, I'm the hugest fan of El Commander right
Yeah,
now.
well, you've
And
been around long enough now where you have now younger guys saying, I remember you, or I was influenced by you. You know what I'm saying? Because, bro, you don't get your props, and I will give them to you. I just think that when, like, you were early in your career, the stuff you were breaking out, bro, nobody was doing, you know, and you really brought high flying to another level. And it was really cool to hear that. I don't even know how this happened with Blitzkrieg, which, as you know, is another guy that I had brought
yeah.
to WCW. I didn't know he was your hero, and he had given you his mask. How did you even meet him?
There's this guy Anthony Maris in California that used to promote. I can't remember the name of his company, but anyway, he used to promote shows, and he had someone that knew Blitzkrieg, and so he actually came up with the idea to see if Blitzkrieg would just like give up the gimmick, and like he agreed, and we did a show for that Anthony Maris, and I won this match, and then Blitzkrieg came out after, and he handed over like the gimmick and. The mask and the suit and everything. And then like I went out to dinner with him after, and he said that he actually did an in the ring double moonsault at a Revolution Pro show in like 1999. So I want to put it out there. If any tape trader can find a tape of that, please give it to me. But
Probably our boy Ron Rivera, if they can get
I
a
think
hold.
Ron Rivera was around. I mean, he might even been the promoter.
Yeah, he might have. He probably has that because Ron is the one that introduced me to Blitzkrieg.
Yeah. So
But that guy's incredible just for the simple fact that he would have made a lot of money in this business, and he just said, "Fuck it."
well, I asked him why, and he said that when WWE bought over WCW, that they still had to keep your contracts or whatever. So he said that he like kind of was like, you know what, I like wrestling and everything, but I kind of want to like move on and do something else. So he just sat on his WCW contract and got paid for that, and then went and I can't remember what I think he got into something in like the medical field actually. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, the reason he got out was because the WWE still had to pay his WCW contract according to him. I don't know, you all would actually know this better than me. And he just took that money and basically went to college with it.
Yeah, such an anomaly, bro. That guy would have made bank because nobody was doing what he was doing. And I do mean, you know, maybe Ray was the only guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think he only was actually wrestling for 3 years in total or something. So.
Yeah, like I said, he was an anomaly, 1,000%. Now, are you just taking indie bookings now all over the place? And how is that? Have you been full of work or not that much, or what are you doing?
No, yeah, I've just been taking every indie book possible, and it's actually been really good so far. But the thing is, I'm wondering if that'll die out a little bit because I think to a certain extent I get booked just because I was an ex AEW guy. So I got to see how it continues into the new year.
The indie scene is very strong right now, Jack.
Yeah,
and it has been for years. Yeah.
No, it really is. I can't believe that just like how many like indie shows are running, like not these like huge events or anything, but they're running like decent sized shows, drawing. They're on IWTV and everything, and that's actually what's the most different about the indies compared to when I was really hitting the indies hard when I first started. Is nearly every show you did was a one-off. It was that promotion's first show, it was that promotion's last show. So like now that you have all these indie companies that like they've been around for years, they consistently run monthly, you know what I mean? It is definitely the strongest I've ever seen in the indies.
Well, bro, I hope to work with you again in AAA at some point. You know, I'm sure the fans would like to see you again. Because
I'm always open.
How long has it been since you've been there?
AAA, man, I'm gonna have to say I think 7 years because
wow,
because there was 3 years AEW, then there's Lucha Underground. I think 7 years.
Wow, it's been a while.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I did do a couple shows for you guys during Lucha Underground, but like not under contract and not consistently. So technically it's been like maybe 4 years, but like
Right.
since I've been there like consistently, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
7.
7 years.
Yeah. Okay. Anything that you want to plug, Jack?
Yes, Pro Wrestling Tees, Jack Evans t-shirts. Go ahead and get them because it's me and I'm freaking cool. September 17th, DPW. I can't remember the name of the show now, and that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Now,
Oh, and I'll plug Bandito's Gym. If there's anyone looking to learn lucha, this is the Mecca Lucha right now. So anyone out there looking to be a wrestler, I'm telling you, get that plane ticket to Mexico City and come live in the dojo because it's actually been the most amazing experience for me.
now, one last thing before you leave.
Hmm.
You're known for your video game prowess and your massive shit talking after video game tournaments. Okay,
I've been
including
humbled a bit here.
including one of my favorite promos of all time, and it might have been on Ricochet at Lucha Underground.
The Mortal Kombat promo?
Yes, that was incredible and classic. Okay, what is your best game that you're the best at that you don't think anybody can beat you at, and who is giving you your toughest challenge in that game?
You know what? I want to say Guilty Gear Strive, like in general. But the thing is, if we include like some of these internet kids, I'm just not on their level. But in general, like around the wrestling
guys. Yeah.
Wrestling guys, it'd be Guilty Gear Strive. But it's one of those things. I even used to bring my laptop and everything into the locker room, and like they'd have a couple games and just quit. So definitely, actually, Guilty Gear Strive.
Who's been your toughest opponent in that game?
No one.
No one. Wow.
No. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. Even though I'm not the best at it, the most competitive one was Tekken. The wrestlers got together in Tekken, and Helico, of all people, was really bringing it. He even took a couple games off of me. I was still pretty dominant, but it was actually Tekken 7 was the one that I was able to get a lot of wrestlers to play. And like they did good. I was still dominant, but like I said, and Helico, of all people, really stepped up his game, and it was like the third time he had played it or something. So Tekken 7 actually is the one I'll say.
All right, Jack. Well, I want to thank you very much, my friend. I haven't talked to you in a long time. I miss you. I love you, dude. We had so much fun together. We didn't even touch the surface. We got to bring you back. But I'll holler at you later, see if maybe you do some stuff with us at AAA.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You're always my big brother, even though we argue all the time. So
yeah, I still love you, dude.
Yeah, I love you to death, K-Dog.
All right. Be cool, Jack.
All right. I'll see you later.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for being on Keeping It 100. Boom.
It was my pleasure. Thank you all for having me.